for an evening filled with paranormal, special guests, interviews, haunting stories, creatures of the unknown, and tales that will chill you to the bone. Brought to you by the UPRN Network and Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. Take a walk into the night with Shawn Kelly.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Into the Night with me, Shawn Kelly. How are you today? I'm doing great. So far, so good. I'm happy as a jaybird. My anxiety, my depression, it's going away. Hey, Tara, how are you, hon? Good to see you. Thank you for listening. And I'm doing pretty decent. So I, hope that everyone out there who is going through the same similar situations, depression, anxiety, I hope they do talk to people. And I'm praying for you guys. I'm praying for you, and I don't forget about you. In fact, I pray for you every night. So my past week from last week. Well, I am a meat cutter with Shop and Save, and what I do is deal with the public, and this is the worst month out of the year for me. And being a meat cutter, because you start off with Thanksgiving. God, I'm glad to see. I'm glad you're seeing me. Why? But with being Thanksgiving, we deal with the turkeys. And then coming Christmas, we deal with the hams. And right after Christmas, we go into the pork for New Year's. Hey, Guila, how are you? So it's just completely busy. But what the difference is, the company I used to work with before, it was only me and another guy that did all this. And it was rough. Was really rough because there was only two of us taking care of turkeys, hams, and pork, and then that's a lot of work, a lot of hours, and a lot of dealing with our customers. Sometimes you just get so stressed out that the customers would be like getting on your nerves, okay, and sometimes it was hard, keeping it at work. And then I would take it home, and then I'd be miserable, and I didn't quite like it. And but I dealt with it for 21 years with this company, and I knows when, of course, we had Christmas Day off, and okay, Terry, yes, it was 75%. But now with this new company I work with, okay, there's like 7 other people that I work with. And it makes life a lot easier. So I retired in 6 years. So hopefully, by the grace of God, that I retire, this is my retirement story. I could not ask for better owners who own this. And I guess I can say the company, yeah, I haven't smiled in a while, Tara. But it was good to. But the name of the company is Shop and Save, and it's here in Pittsburgh. And it's ran by Dan and Judy, and they're beautiful people. I couldn't ask for a better situation that I got right now. Yeah, we did meet at the Big Bird. Of course, Tara, I've known you long time. And speaking of Tara, we've known each other for a long time, and she has grown up to be a very, very wonderful person, a very close, dear friend, almost like considered a sister. But I can't say enough of what my owners of my company do. I mean, they know how to treat people, and sometimes if you bend the rules a little bit, they'll get on you. But you know what? it's, I guess it's for the good. Um, but they treat me good, and a lot of people don't make me blush, Tara. You know, the whole world's going to see me, but that's okay. I'm smiling. But tonight, I'd like to, whatever's going to come out of my mouth is going to come out of my mouth, and whatever I'm going to talk about is going to talk about it. But what I want to do is I want to share with you a couple Christmas movies that I really, really, really enjoy. Okay, and the first one I want to see talk about is A Christmas Carol, and by Charles Dickens. Okay, it was about Ebenezer Scrooge, and what to me I can seriously, seriously relate to Ebenezer. I can because I was grouchy, I was mean, I was miserable. Okay, I didn't care about you. You know, you asked me for help, I'd just run away from you, and everything was about me, 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 me. So when I was watching this movie, um, the ghost that in the movie um, really, really, made me think. Um, the first one, all right, Tara, good night. Go back to work. Love you too. Um, the first one was Jacob Marley, and that was Ebenezer Scrooge's old partner. And he was bound to the earth because he did a lot of bad business with money. But it just goes to show me how bad and how terrible thing is that the way you treat people when you're living and when you're dead, you get punished for it. And then he said he told he's been visited by like three ghosts, and one for the Christmas past. Now on my last show, Chasing Prophecy, um, we talked about them, and to me, the ghost of Christmas past. Um, Kind of shows me now if it was my situation and I was Ebenezer and I had the ghost of Christmas past come around and take me on that journey. To me, he would show me all the good stuff that I did in my life, um, all the things that were starting to happen in my life, that I could actually see what was going on and how happy I was back then. You know. Um, and looking back into my past, uh, there was a couple of rough spots, and but I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just going to continue going with it. But there was a couple of rough passes, and growing up, and all kinds of stuff. But what I liked about the Ghost of Christmas Past was I was okay. How everything that I knew to where it got to the point where I am now was decent, you know. Um, and then the second ghost that was Christmas Now. Yeah, I forget what the name of that dude is. If anybody else knows it out there, please tell me. And with that, it just showed me where Ebenezer had all this, what was going on in his life at the time, and that he was so into himself that he didn't like see what was going around in his life. He was just like had blinders on, and all he cared about was money, his own money, his money, and the business. But what was pretty interesting was when Tiny Tim came into the picture. Okay. Um, Thanks, Doreen. Appreciate that. And what he came into Tiny Tim. Now, Tiny Tim, as you all know, he was a cripple. I really don't know what it was, but um, Tiny Tim had a medical issue, medical problem, and his dad, I forget his dad's name. Do you know the dad's name, Doreen? Um, I forget, but he would bust his butt for Ebenezer, and Ebenezer would just pay him with no money at all, really, just to live by. But in the meantime, all this was happening. He was a loyal servant. He was a loyal worker. All right, he was a loyal servant, and he worked so he could support Tiny Tim and his family. But Ebenezer just didn't care. All he wanted was his own money. And terrible, terrible, terrible dude, man. And so eventually, the Ghost of Christmas Present, he oh, Bob Cratchit. Thanks, buddy. That's it. Thanks, Thorny. Bob Cratchit was his name. And so after the ghost, went away, then it was the Ghost of Christmas Future. And that was scary. That was scary, dude. Because he looked like death, he really did, death, pointing to his grave and all the sins that Ebenezer did. He just pointed to Ebenezer's grave and how people were selling this stuff for money and stuff like that, and then he turns and he becomes. The next day, Ebenezer becomes a good person. And he buys the biggest turkey for the Cratchits. And, he's all happy. He got the Christmas spirit, And so it turned out good. But that story really, really, really hits home. It was like, and I think it was the original one. I'm not really good on who the actor was, but it was like the original old one. And it was, it touched me, and believe it or not, I wasn't even afraid of the ghost. I really, really enjoyed it. And so I learned a lot from that movie. I learned a lot. It's amazing, you watch movies all your life, you keep watching them and watching them and watching them and watching them. And, you finally, after 50 years, you finally realize the meaning of the movies. And that's where my number one movie, It's a Wonderful Life, with Jimmy Stewart. And that one hit home. Most of y'all know who listen to my show. Y'all know that I am an alcoholic. I'm a recovering alcoholic. And instead of, putting Jimmy there, just put me there. And when you watch that movie, and that was me, And I cry every time I watch that movie because I just think of all the bad. I mean, it gets to the point where I can't watch the movie because of the stupid shit he did, And that's what I did, because that's all I did was drink, and it was miserable. And I never had that angel, never did. Clarence was the angel, and so maybe I did have angels, I didn't know, but I didn't. It was hard, and just the ending was great. It's real hard to talk about this, but it's like the best movie out there. It brings back a lot of bad memories, but the good thing is how, Clarence got his wings. Every time you hear a bell ring, an angel got his wings. Now, the story behind that. Okay, when I was married, it was Christmas, and I had to work Christmas Day. And my wife at the time, she took our son, Paul, down to Columbus, Ohio for Christmas. And I was home alone. And so I was in had a couple of years in recovery. And every year, the AA, Pittsburgh AA, they have a Christmas party. And I would go to that. So here's what was crazy about it, right? It was about 11:30, quarter to 12 at night. And I was at this Christmas party, but I had to go home. And so I was living only like 10 minutes from the place. So I get home, sat down, drink a cup of tea or iced tea, unsweetened. And so I laid down in my bed ready to go to sleep. And all of a sudden my telephone went off. Now, what was crazy about that was it sounded like the bells that Jacob Marley had, and it went off at midnight, and I'm like, oh my God, Jacob Marley's in my room. Oh God, I was like, whoa, what's this? And here, it turned out to be a guy that I sponsored in AA at the time, and he just called to see if I was okay. So, but hearing the telephone, that was like crazy, you know. But it was something, and it made my evening go a little better. So, everybody out there who's listening, what are y'all going to be doing for Christmas this year? Did you buy presents? Are you having a party? Or are you going to go dancing? Are you going to go caroling? What are you going to do? Spend time with the family? I mean, there are a lot of things that happen to people during this season. But you know what? Somehow we get through it. We really do. And like I tell people at the beginning of the show is, you have to have friends. You have to have somebody that you can talk to during this season. I know I'm going to finally get to see my son, who I haven't seen in, almost 2 years now. He's coming home for Christmas. And I'm sorry to hear that, Maureen. I'm sorry to hear that. But you know what? It will get better. I promise you that. I totally promise you that. But I haven't seen my son in 2 years. And Christmas is special for us because it's my mom's birthday. And he comes home. Now, he lives out in Indiana. He's got a decent job out there. I mean, he busted his butt in school to get to where he's at now. But he's 31 now. I'm like, dang, don't remember when he was a kid. He was a baby. Oh my God. He's 31 years old now, and he's going to come home, and I am so proud of him. I think that every year when Christmas time comes around, that's the biggest present I ever get, is to see my son grow and become a man and doing things on his own, making his own decisions, and working at good jobs. And to me, that's the biggest present I could ever get. How about you? What is the biggest thing that happened to you? What is the best Christmas present you ever got in your life? And I'm not talking material things, because material things or just material. I'm talking stuff that hit the heart. What was the best thing Christmas you ever had? Present. I don't know if you want to. You can leave a comment in the comment section, or if you want to send me a message and tell me about it, I'd be more than happy to hear about it. And so that's my Christmas this year for Christmas. My family, like I said, Paul's coming in, and I'm gonna have my mom's birthday party. It'll be me and my brother, and it's just gonna get a little family together. A lot of food, and just knowing that my son's home. That's the biggest thing, you know. And I always, always, always tell my son I love him all the time, all the time. And if you're out there, parents, that hug your children, you know, give them a hug and tell them that you love them. They might think you're crazy, but you know what? It's worth it because a hug to me is like not one of them little dainty hugs or one of them where you bring it in the shoulder type of hug. A hug is a hug, and when it's your son, when it's your family member, um, it's just the best feeling in the world. You know. What I like about the relationship I have with my son is that yes, he is a scientist. Okay, so I hunt ghosts. Okay, and there's no scientific explanation behind ghost hunting. And so me and him are on the opposite, end of a spectrum. Like he's one side, I'm on the other side. We never meet into the middle. But what I like about him is that, he respects what I do. You know, he might think I'm a nutcase, but he knows I enjoy it, and he knows I'm good at it, and he knows that. Plus, I'm his dad. I guess he has to think that, but no. Um, and it's just knowing just to get that hug from him. And it's really cool, because when he was small, every time I had him and I talked to him, I always told him that I loved him. And said that when he was a baby, all the way. I made a promise to God when the day he was born. I made a promise. And I said, I'm gonna promise you, God, that I am going to tell my son that I love him every day. And I did. And I showed it. I mean, and I told him that every day. And even to this day, I tell him I love him. And it's just that bond that we have with it, you know. My And I remember in teenager times, when he was a teenager and he was around his friends, he would just come up and give me a hug and said, "Dad, I love you," in front of his friends. So that just made me feel good, you know. But me and my son don't talk a lot, We really don't. Um, and you know what? That's okay. At least he calls his grandma and talks to her every other day, which is a blessing in disguise. But when him and I do talk together, we start talking, have a conversation, it's like we pick up where we left off 2 or 3 months the last time that we talked to him, you know. So it's all good. Um, so this year we found it was funny. We're cleaning up going through all our Christmas stuff, and I actually saw his old stocking. So I'm going to stuff it with stuff in his stuffing and give it to him, for Christmas. Um, so I'm kind of looking for that. But what are you going to get your people for Christmas? What are you going to get your child for Christmas? What are you going to get your mom? Do you ever really put a thought into it? My mom, her present is that I behave. That's all. My mom's funny. She's an old Irish lady, so she's a good lady, though. Real good lady. You know, it's funny when you grow up and when you're young and you're in your teenage years, you don't like your mom because you can't do this, you can't do that. She scolds you, she punishes you and stuff like that. But you know what? The older that you get, the more you understand where she came from when you were younger, and you show a lot more respect. I mean, I'm 59, and my mom looks at me right in the eyes with the eyes, and thank you, Doreen. She's a good mom, and she all she has to do is give me them eyes. Well, I don't know. Does your mom like look at you a certain way, and you know when to keep quiet? I'm sure they do, and she still does it to this day. Um, I really, I'm just like in a real happy Christmassy spirit, you know. And it's been a long time since I had that. Um, so it's like I don't know. Is there any topics out there that you want to talk about? Doreen, do you have anything? Tara, you want to talk? Do you have any questions for me to ask? Please feel free to. Um, Everybody, Doreen Vogel, she was in my group for the longest time, and then she decided to move on and start her own group. And what's the name of your group, Doreen? You're all about to guess. Yeah. So what's the name of your group, Doreen? You know, she's a very good investigator. Her group is called the Pennsylvania Spirit Seekers. Um, and from what I hear and what I have heard and what I've seen, they are very good. Well, of course, I taught her. I taught her everything she knows, but um, she's a good girl. She's a good girl, real good girl, good investigator, and a very good friend. Very good friend. You're I'm PPS and she's PSS. Ah, that's a good one. I like that. But I don't know. I just okay. I had an kind of like an investigation Friday, and it's funny because the ghost in the house was like scaring the crap out of the client. She really was, and so I went up there and I we sat down with the K2 meter. We talked and we asked questions, and we finally come to realize that she was talking with her grandma because her grandma had a couple things to say to her. And her uncle came in too, who passed away. So it turned out to be a good investigation. No video, no cameras, just a K2 meter. Sit down and talk. And to me, you know, it's not so much getting that ghost on film or that video or that sound on an EVP. It's for me, it's just working with the client and giving them a peace of mind. That's where I'm at, and that's what I did on Friday. And everything seemed to calm down. Um, and we've been talking, and her boyfriend, hopefully, I project they're going to get married. So I told her that. She laughed at me, but she wants it. He don't. But it was a good investigation. Um, and we are going to have we have some coming up and starting in the first of the year. This is a tough time of the month for investigations because people are so busy with Christmas and but starting in January we're going to do more going out to cemeteries. And Doreen, your team is more than welcome to join us if you want to come along. I like to share the wealth with other groups. I like to help other groups. And so you're more than welcome to join us, Doreen, if you want. Yeah. I haven't heard that in a while. But so we're going to do cemeteries, and I think Joe, my producer, and a couple other people who have their other shows, Mike Angley, they're going to be going up to Gettysburg, I think in April. So we're definitely going to do a Gettysburg trip up there. I'll be working with them guys up there, so I'm kind of looking for that, toward that. Then we're going to do cemeteries, and then we're going to do probably clients' houses, and probably go to different places. I would like to go back to the Octagon House down in Virginia. That was a really cool place. Also, I'm going to probably make arrangement to go up to the Kinsman House. That was a very, very interesting haunted place. We got a lot of good evidence up there. And that's in Warner High. And I'm going to try to make it down to Prospect Place down there in Trimway, Ohio. That was a good place to go to. There was a lot of cool places to go to. And just do some stuff here around Pittsburgh. Start investigating, getting more involved in the community and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens with that. And I don't know. I started being on Chasing Prophecy for over a year and a half now. I remember. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, I snored like hell, huh? And I had Doreen smacked me in the head and said, "Shut up." And so I shut up. But since working with Jenny, I've gotten interested in the UFOs and aliens. I really didn't care about aliens, and I really didn't care about UFOs before I started Chasing Prophecy. And now I am. So I think next year I'm going to do a little bit of UFO hunting. Yeah, maybe do some aliens. That would be pretty cool. And then there's also cryptids, Bigfoot and Thunderbirds, and the wolf dog guy, whatever his name is, and all kinds of unexplained things that's going on out there in the paranormal world. For the last year and a half, I have learned so much stuff that I never thought of that existed. Okay. But I remember one time, this past year, I was on my friend's Valve house, and it was in the morning, and I was having coffee with her husband, Matt, and they looked like out in the woods, on a lake, around the woods, and honest to God, I heard a wood knock on the tree, just like you hear on TV. I heard them knocking, and I was like, yeah, now I know where to go for Bigfoot. Also, if you look at it, Bigfoot and UFOs, to me, go hand in hand. Because think about it, right? You watch some Bigfoot shows, okay, or you talk to people who hunt Bigfoot, and they see them on the thermal, or they hear them, or they smell them, and once they go to where Bigfoot is at, they disappear. But what's also really cool about it is that whenever there is a Bigfoot sighting, all right, there's a lot of UFO activity going on too. So I started to put two and two together. And I'm sure people, realize this way before I did, but I have no doubt that the UFOs um, deal with the Bigfoot. They put them here through a portal. They're in another dimension, and whenever they get spotted or wherever, boom, they go back to the other, back to the dimension wherever the UFO was. So there's a lot for me to learn about that. Um, there's a lot to learn. But the cryptids seem pretty cool. I did find out that Pennsylvania is like in the top 10 of cryptids, where there's a lot of cryptids, you know. But if I did go out in the woods, I'm bringing like a party with me. I'm bringing other people because I ain't sure as hell ain't going out in the woods. Man, I'm from the city. I don't deal with the country or the woods that much. So I wouldn't know if I was walking by a snake or something like that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. If there's anything that you want me to do, if you have any places where I could investigate or tell me something different, please leave me a message. Maybe I can get you on the show if you want to come on and talk about it. Um, but right now we're at the 36-minute mark, and I have a person, a sponsor for tonight. She was on Chasing Prophecy, and I told her I'd put her on this show. Her name's Catherine, and so she sent me this to read for her. Her name's Catherine. But Catherine is doing a campaign called Warm Hearts, WARMHEARTS, 2021. And its mission is to provide blankets, coats, socks, hats, and other warm weather gear to the homeless population, especially the homeless veterans throughout Pittsburgh. I am collecting blankets that are clean socks that are new, and any other clothing that is warm. I am also taking donations for the Light of the Life mission that is located in Pittsburgh. I chose this charity simply because it is a Christian based organization that helps the homeless, but I am more than willing to give donations to other charities that benefit homeless citizens and or homeless veterans upon request. Any questions about donations or anybody wanting to get involved with the distribution and or collection of warm weather gear, they can email her at warmhearts2021 at yahoo.com. That is WARMHEARTS 2021 at yahoo.com. So, Catherine, you know, that's really cool that you can do that for the homeless people and the homeless veterans and helping the homeless out. Um, that's awesome, and I'm proud of you for doing that. Really, really proud, and I was honored that I could say that on both shows tonight. Um, and speaking of homeless people, um, it's starting to get cold out there, and for whatever reason, they are homeless. Nobody knows, but um, if you can, contact Catherine and give a blanket, or if you can go to the Light of the Light mission, if you're here in Pittsburgh or wherever you live, overseas in Australia, China, whatever, go to a place where people can get some warm clothes, a warm something to eat, donate money, donate food, so people don't get hungry, because that's the biggie thing, that people just don't get hungry. And because I know at one time, I was not homeless. I had a place, but I didn't eat. But I won't get into that. That's for another story. Um, but, so I see them every day that, when I go into town, and I'll leave them a buck or two or buy them something to drink or give them some food to eat, And, you're always paying it forward. I did something today when I went through McDonald's. I pay for somebody's meal in the back of me, and I'll never meet those people again. And I didn't do it to be egotistical. A thought just came into my head. Say, why don't you pay for those people's meal? And I did that. And hopefully that they got it and that they will be able to do something for another person. And that's how the world turns. That's how the world should be right now. It shouldn't be everybody for themselves and nobody else. What's the use? We discussed this alone, a couple of nights ago, me and my friends, that growing when I grew up, you didn't do that. You didn't shoot. If you had a beef with somebody, you took them out the backyard or you took them down to the parking lot and you fist fight maybe for about 10, 15 minutes. Either the cops came up or you guys stopped fighting and you just walked away and did your own thing. And that's how you handled situations. You helped your neighbors. You always had neighbors that come over for parties and stuff like that. That's when it was cool. Nowadays, what I see, I don't like it. I don't like what I see out there, on how many kids disrespect their parents, and it's like, it's not good, you know. And I hope that eventually one day, everybody, for just one day, I hope and pray that everybody will be nice to everybody and have no anger, nothing like that at all. Um, but that's what I wish for. So, is anybody out there that want to talk, want to leave me a question or anything like that? Feel free to. Um, I don't know. We talked about last show. We talked about some like Krampus. You know, um, what's the guy that goes around. He's like the opposite of Santa Claus. He goes around and he takes children. You know, um, takes children, naughty children, um, and I don't know, eats them. I don't know, but because the topic that we had was the 24 monsters of Christmas. Okay, and I'm going to bring a couple up right now. Now, the first one that was on the list, okay, was Rudolph. Rudolph. Now, let me ask everybody: is everybody out there? Do you think Rudolph was a monster? According to this author, okay, Rudolph, he was a good person. He was a nice person. Um, with his shiny nose and, helping Santa Claus, guide the sleigh through Christmas and stuff like that. And there was a couple other ones here. The Yule Cat, this is pretty wild. This feline is an addition to the Gryla household. It's not your average four-legged friend, but a giant cat. She feasts on anyone unless they receive new clothes for Christmas. So be sure to wear a brand new outfit, otherwise you might be visited by this most evil Christmas character. And I was like, oh my God, when I read that, I was like, holy crap. Oh my God, just because you don't have a brand new outfit on, that doesn't mean you're going to be eaten by a cat. So if you don't want to be eaten by a cat, dudes, go out and buy a new uniform, new clothes. And there's, let me see what another one. Krampus. Like I said, he's evil. Um, and like you say, he appears on 25th December and he rides in a town, a Krampusnacht. The 5th December will hang around until Christmas Day. And if you badly behave all year, watch out, for he's known to stuff naughty children into his sack and take them to his lair. Now, that's kind of creepy, because Now, I know there's a lesson behind that, all right, but I don't know. Maybe back in the 20th century, um, it was understandable what Krampus was about, but with all the shit going on now out in the world now in the 21st century, it just seems like, I don't know, that doesn't sound good. You know, an evil guy taking children into somewhere, wherever he takes them to his lair. That's not good. Um, what's your thoughts on Krampus? Please tell me. And then Mrs. Claus, she's a good one. See, it's not crazy. It's 24 Christmas creatures and monsters, and Mrs. Claus, man, I think she's the coolest lady in the world. Think about it, right? She goes around and she helps with the elves, making the toys, and she also, takes care of Santa Claus and helps in the presents and stuff like that. And I think Mrs. I think Mrs. Santa Claus, man, she's pretty cool. Mrs. Claus, yeah. And I think all grandmas are like that around Christmas, where they want to take care of everybody. You know, uh, I know, Doreen, it gets crazy, man, being stuffed into a bag, but but grandmas remind me of Mrs. Claus. What's your thoughts? Tell me. Um, if you want to, tell me if you want. But I really do believe. Let's see. And the Yule Goat. This is a new one. This was a new one. The Yule Goat. It's from Scandinavia Christmas folklore. The Yule Goat is more than just your average as partners to the god Thor. They pull along his chariot and are widely considered the best bearers of gifts the world has ever seen. If you see a Yule goat, you can be certain that presents aren't far behind. So, go to a farm, find some goats, and hopefully you got some presents behind those goats. But I think all these lures and traditions that they have out there is like really pretty cool, you know. And they all have a meaning, and they have all little history behind them and stories and stuff like that. And it's all meant to be, I guess lessons. I don't know. I just wish that everybody have a wonderful Christmas, a Merry Christmas. Um, believe it or not, honest to God, I put Christmas carols on in my car. I listen to Christmas songs. It's crazy. And it's like this is the first year that that's all I have is Christmas carols on going on in my car. I mean, now working in a supermarket, right? You know, starting the day after Thanksgiving all the way up to the day after Christmas, all you have is Christmas carols going on in the store. But you know what? I think something happened to our speaker at work, so I haven't been listening to carols at work. Um, and I love it. It's great. Speaking of Christmas songs, the group Alabama, they have a Christmas CD out, and I just love. Um, and we've been playing that for like the last 8 or 10 years, and they're good songs. And every time when I'm working by myself at work, I'll put my phone on and listen to them on the speaker, a little speaker at work in the meat room. And I don't know, I just sing along. And then there is, and Doreen, I know you like this group, the Trans Siberian Orchestra. I don't know if anybody heard him, but I tell you what, go on YouTube and Google their songs because they are good, really, really good. Um, Whenever they get a chance, when they come into town, I can go. Then I go because yes, oh my God's right. OMG, Doreen, they are the best. So um, if you're on, yeah, if you're on YouTube or something, just type in Trans Siberian Orchestra and just watch your concert because it is freaking unreal. Freaking unreal. It was like pretty intense. So we're coming up on the closing of the show. Um, I know I got like about 5 more minutes, and I just want to just wish you, every one of you, all a Merry Christmas. And I hope your Christmases are great and wonderful. Yeah, Christmas Canon is great. I like that song. You know, to me, every one of my listeners, um, to me, you're my Christmas present because you follow and you listen to my show, and I truly appreciate it. And to me, you're my Christmas present, and I truly appreciate it. Now, I know that there's times I get a guest, sometimes I don't, but for you to hang around and listen, that makes me feel really, really good. In fact, I look forward to Tuesday nights after Chasing Prophecy, and I can do my show. Um, there you go, Joe. Thank you, buddy. That's Trans-Siberian Orchestra right there. Yeah, thank you, whoever did that. That was cool. Um, but you guys are the best. And I don't know. We're not going to be on next week. We're taking next week off. And so you're welcome, Tori. And we're taking next week off. Chasing Prophecy on my show into the night. Because I have Christmas stuff to do. Got to take care of some presents and stuff like that. But I don't know. To me, this is going to be a wonderful Christmas. And I think Joe, the producer, with UPRN, giving me the shot to do this a year and a half ago with Chasing Prophecy. I mean, not only is he my producer, I'm not kissing your butt either, Joe. I'm not. I'm just being honest with you, man. That I can honestly true that he's a friend. He's a good dude, man. He's taking care of me, and he's showing me all the stuff that I need to do. And with his help and his guidance, honestly, I know I'll get to where he's at, and maybe I'll learn more about UFOs. But listen, I'm going to close the show now. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, good night. Happy hunting.